Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well, and welcome as well if you are new here. In today's video, we of course are starting off our steampunk series with a strong one, so grab the popcorn. I'm going to be using the Let's Resin Silicone Putty and also the Let's Resin Silicone Rubber. For me, this video was all about having fun, exploring, experimenting, and see what we can do with both of those mediums. Now, of course, we are steampunk. So I went into my little steampunk collection and I grabbed everything I could that screamed steampunk, whether that were keys, clocks, cogs, anything that I had. And I didn't have much. So I decided I'm also going to make some resin castings. Now I'm using the Polycraft. This is a polyurethane resin, not epoxy. If you don't have this, of course you can just use your normal epoxy resin. I'm going to take some castings from any mold that screams steampunk. If you've been with me a while, you'll know that I've got all of these absolutely stunning molds. Some are from Amazon, like at the bottom, the wings and the crosses, that is Amazon. But all of the others are Prima. They are Finnabair Prima molds. They are stunning. They are elite molds. They were not cheap. But I absolutely love them. I have used them multiple times. I've also taken silicone inlays from these molds and I left the silicone in for way too long and I've destroyed a couple. So these are all kind of like relatively new. I had to buy 2 brand new molds where I ripped the bottoms out of the old ones. So do be gentle with these and do be safe and do be careful. So the polyurethane, I've not really talked about it much, but it is a very fast curing, heart palpitation inducing, super handy resin, because you can create things within half an hour and they're good to go and good to use, right? So that is why I use it for things like this. All I'm doing right now, I am creating pieces that I can emboss into the Let's Resin Silicone Putty. So if you're wondering why I've just poured a corner of that frame, that's why. It's just the corner that I need. I'm not going for full scale castings here. I'm not worried about filling up the entire mold, every section of the mold. I'm literally pulling out what is going to work steampunk, what is going to work really well as a steampunk embossing piece. That's the word. They're the words I needed. If you are new here, please forgive any language mistakes, wording mistakes. I have found myself in the pits of midlife perimenopause, and sadly my words are really quite difficult to retrieve lately. It's like the most easiest word. Even like milk. If I'm trying to grab the milk, the word is gone. I can't retrieve it out of my brain, and I'm finding this a lot with my channel as well and creating. But as I was pointing to the screen there, I'm getting ahead of myself in the voiceover. I've just picked out the areas that matter to me. So even though I've filled up the moth section completely, other sections I've just grabbed areas of. Some of the corners, some of the details in these molds are just beautiful and scream steampunk, right? So like this corner here is what I've pulled out here, and then I've pulled out a section of the frame and some of the apothecary bottles. Again, these are Finnabair molds, and on here I've pulled out some of the clocks, the watches, the pocket watch style, and again a skull across and a wing. So 30 minutes later, it is time to demold all of these pieces, and of course they've come out absolutely gloriously fabulous. And these are going to be perfect to press down into my silicone putty and create some stunning embossings into which I plan on pouring silicone rubber to create an inlay. So there is multiple levels to this video, but I will talk about each and whether this is even worth it in the first place. But yeah, I'm going to kind of speed through all of this demolding because, again, these are just pieces I'm going to use for embossing as I proceed to drop the bottle. But again, for me, I can use these pieces in the future with other projects anyway, so they do come in handy. If you were with me a couple videos back, I had tons of like bits and bobs, like using my stash. I did a video where I was using my stash. All of these bits go into that, right? They all become part of my stash. So at some stage in the future, I may be able to look to them and see what I can do with those and integrate them into what I'm currently working on. But yeah, fear not if you're wondering why I've only got half frames. That's why. All of this stuff will be saved and put into my stash for potential future use. Okay, let's move this along to the putty. Now, this is the Let's Resin Silicone Putty. This is a 2-part putty compound that you put together and create your putty. So individually, the part A and part B, individually, they won't do anything. They'll stay soft. But once you've mixed them together, then they will become a moldable substance. They will become a surface into which you could press your hand, do a hand print, or get some of your favorite jewelry and emboss that into it, or anything that you feel would work beautifully as an embossing or something to create an inlay with. Then go ahead, emboss it into this clay. Now, here's the thing. This putty is measurable by weight, 1-to-1, right? You saw there, I didn't mix it right. In the same way, I didn't even really get the measurement for the polyurethane right. The polyurethane is also mixtured 1-to-1, and I was 1 gram out. That 1 gram truly does not make a difference. Equally, the 1 gram between these two pieces also does not make a difference. My plan was get this mixed together. Now, I don't know why I chose 2 heart palpitation inducing mediums to create in today's video. The polyurethane does not have much work time, neither does the silicone putty. Okay, I'm working against the clock, so you can kind of see I was a little bit shaky wakey, a little bit panicky, and just like putting everything in. I have sped this section up for you slightly. Now here's the thing. This putty works best on polyplastic, this kind of plastic, cling film plastic. It doesn't work best with any other medium. I can't put this putty down on my silicone mat. It will stick to it. I can't use anything but plastic with this silicone inlay. So here I am, putting down all of these pieces to emboss this beautiful putty. I'm gonna get a gorgeous steampunk embossing. That was my aim. What I really should have done right now is grabbed another sheet of plastic to put down over the top, but no, you see, no, I was so panicky. Huge mistake incoming. Instead of grabbing a plastic sheet before I grabbed a piece of cardboard, I put the cardboard directly down onto this. Now, at the time, I didn't quite realise my mistake. All I'm trying to do here is get an even embossing. I want everything to be evenly embossed throughout this silicone putty. And then it hit me as soon as I tried to get the cardboard back. Like, is this even Claire's Crafty Corner if I don't cry inside at some stage? I was fuming. I was raging. Honestly, I was just like, are you serious? Are you talking to myself? Like, are you serious, Claire? Like, what is wrong with you? You knew that would happen, and yet here you are doing it. So 40 minutes later, I decided to keep it anyway, salvage what I could, and see what we've got left. Now, would this all be usable? For me, this was too much damage for a silicone inlay at this point. I'd pressed too hard, everything had gone through, creating holes everywhere. But would this work for polymer clay and air dry clay embossing? Absolutely yes. Grab a bit of air dry clay, roll it out onto that. You've got yourself a gorgeous steampunk pendant. So everything has a place and everything can work. This is my second attempt. I took it slower this time. I used what I had left. Now here's the thing. I think this is why I was panicking a little bit on the first one. I knew I didn't have much silicone putty left. However, after that first one and realising the work time was a lot longer than I first anticipated it being, I felt more confident this time around. I thought I would make I've built up the silicone putty, right? I've put part A, part B together and I've put it down on this plastic sheet. And I've rolled it out quite thick this time, knowing that I actually have a much longer work time than previously thought. Therefore, no need to panic, no need to shove everything in, get it all in real fast. And I really was feeling the pressure of the time constraint. I was there, you know. So this time around, I did speed this up for you still, but I did take my time in reality and just looked at placement a little bit more. Now, I did a couple of things differently here. I didn't press everything down as much. I knew that if I pressed everything down as hard as I pressed it down the first time, it would go through. And I don't want it to go through. I just want an embossing. I don't want to see the table through the silicone putty. So I don't know. I just felt a lot more confident the second time around. And sometimes that is how it goes, you know. Sometimes I'll make a creation one time and I'll absolutely hate it and never do it again. Whereas this time around, I was lucky enough to make the mistakes first time, but still have some silicone putty left to do it again. Now at this point, I don't want these shiny flat areas. I don't want any flat areas on this silicone inlay that I am gonna try and create. So I did decide to put in some crushed glass. Again, I'm not shoving it in, I'm just lightly tapping it onto the surface to create an embossing on the surface so that I don't have those flat, super blank, boring, shiny areas. I did have some black glass, but it was just so tiny. I decided to use this much bigger, chunky mirror glass that you've seen me use in previous videos. So again, that was purely just to take away any of those flat, shiny surfaces, and I didn't want them there. I didn't want them there. At this stage, I am really happy. I'm just giving everything a gentle tap. I'm not going to go over this surface with a plastic sheet or a piece of cardboard and do any more than that. That's it for me. I left this for 2 hours before coming back up and peeling everything out. Luckily for me, most things just fell off. For me, it was going to be the glass chunks. I knew that some of those glass chunks would need to be peeled out if I've potentially pressed a bit too hard. But this is already looking so much better. I was so excited, except for that center point, that middle bit. Like that one cog let me down with its level of embossing. Is barely there. And honestly, I could have, again, I was just like, I know you guys say I'm too hard on myself, but I was a bit like, really? Really? Everything else was fine. Like everything else embossed beautifully. But that one center point, oh, why? Of course, it's human error. I should have pushed harder or used something deeper that would have given me a more pronounced embossing. But here we are. I did spend quite a bit of time going over this with my eyes, making sure that there was no glass left in this whatsoever. Now, next steps for me is to take a silicone inlay of this. This is the thing that was most risky. This is what I was most nervous about. This is either a complete waste of the last 2 days, like you've destroyed it, the silicone inlay's not going to come apart from this, or it's going to be a fun project that does work, or it's just going to be a fun project that is a complete disaster. So to take my silicone inlay, I have placed the silicone rubber embossing down onto some silicone matte. Now, I do have scraps of black silicone matte that I use for my resin mixing machines, and sometimes I put it at the bottom of my resin bubble removing machine, also from Let's Resin. So I cut my mat up into sections that I can use. Now, this is so handy at this point because that's what I'm going to use to create a wall around my silicone rubber embossing and to create my silicone inlay. I'm hoping that makes sense. The silicone rubber I'm using, of course, is from Let's Resin. I am a silicone rubber ambassador for Let's Resin. I do love to make a silicone mold or a silicone inlay that would absolutely not be sellable on the market because they're never perfect. For me, I'm not very good at it, but I absolutely love doing it. This silicone rubber is measurable 1:1 by weight, part A, part B, equal parts, measure and mix thoroughly for 5 minutes. You can color this silicone rubber any color you wish using mica powder. So because this is steampunky, steampunk-esque or stroke or Halloween, I've gone with purple. I like to colour coordinate. So if I was making a spring or summer inlay, it would be yellow or pink and such like. So it is time to risk it for a biscuit and pour my silicone inlay in the hopes that these two silicone components would not bond for eternity, and we would in fact get a silicone inlay from this. Now, I was already thinking, you know, if the silicone inlay doesn't work, at least I've got the silicone putty. Because for me, I'm already thinking this silicone putty, if you do nothing else, guys, the silicone putty is absolutely perfect for polymer clay embossing, to get your polymer clay earrings or, you know, keychains or necklaces, and or air dry clay, right? Roll it down into that silicone putty embossing. You've got yourself a piece of art already. So if nothing else works, at least I've got that silicone rubber. Now, I am using the rest of that silicone rubber to create even more inlays. You can't have too many inlays. But I am using my silicone release spray this time around. I'm so scared to do this now because I did destroy 2 molds prior. But I am using my silicone release spray, giving all of these molds a liberal spray of silicone release spray before I pour my silicone rubber. So again, we've got silicone rubber and silicone putty, 2 completely different things to create a very similar outcome. You're making a mold, or you're taking an embossing of something. For me, the silicone rubber lends itself to embossing, and the silicone rubber, no, did I say that right? The silicone putty lends itself to embossing. The silicone rubber lends itself to inlays and silicone molds. That's how I would definitely distinguish between the two and what I would use them both for. So here we are making inlays. Again, I've sprayed all of these in the hopes that we do not destroy the molds. And similarly to the polyurethane castings, I am only going for the pieces that scream steampunk. The clocks, the clock faces, the cogs, the skulls, the crosses, anything steampunk-esque, whereas everything else like the bones I'm not gonna bother with, and even the wings I'm not that fussed about today for silicone inlays. I have plenty of those. I do love me a silicone inlay, and knowing that I can put these in my stash is great as well. So roll forward 24 hours later and it is time to peel these back. Now, the best way to peel these back is to work with, obviously, both hands if you can. Bend the mold with one hand and kind of like rub the surface of the inlay with the other hand, and you will see it start to peel out and pop out. And then when you're peeling them out of your molds, peel slow, like really slowly. The skulls actually popped out, like the skulls were super easy, but you don't want to just whip it out like you would if it was epoxy resin. Well, you wouldn't even do it then, to be honest. You wouldn't do it then. Basically, go slowly, okay? Go slowly. You don't want to rip your silicone inlay. What I'm trying to say here is that silicone rubber can rip if you're too rough with it. So pull gently, go slowly. The rest of this I didn't bother using. This was all like scraggly bits and just, you know, the dregs of the silicone. So I did pull that out, but the rest I'm going slowly, peeling back slowly. I cannot emphasize it enough. Go slow. Let me know your thoughts on this video so far. Like I said, it is a long one. We're nearly 19 minutes in and we haven't even created yet. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Are you asleep yet? Guys, a moment of truth. This, again, like I said, is 24 hours later. The silicone rubber has cured. But it was a heart in mouth. Oh, what have I done moment. Now, I was excited because as soon as I started peeling the inlay away, I was like, yay, it's working. And then I suddenly thought, oh, but it's not. Every millimeter that I could pull away, I was questioning whether or not this was even worth it. I really wasn't sure at this point. Is it usable? Yes, but is it worth it? Was it worth my heart palpitations? I'm not so sure, to be honest. Every millimeter that I pulled away, I was getting more and more excited that I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this off. But it was fighting me at every corner. And I realized that where the inlay was thick, it was easier. Where the inlay was paper thin, it really did not want to come away at all. Did I use the silicone release spray on this? No. Why? I don't know. I don't know why I didn't use it. Would it have helped? Potentially, yes. You can see here there are areas that are so thin. Guys, I got the whole thing off, but it ripped chunks out of the silicone putty. Would I do it again? No. Would I recommend you guys do it? At your own risk. If you do it, try and use silicone release spray and make your inlay thicker than I did. So there's my advice. If you want to go ahead and try that, do it. But at your own risk, make your inlay thicker than I did and use silicone release spray, because that was heart in mouth moment for me. My silicone putty creation is still usable, and now the inlay is also usable. So I am now using the most stunning gold. This is a compacted gold mica type wax. Like, I can't explain what it is. If Petra Jongbloed, if you are watching, please tell me exactly what this is. It's like a gold mica, but it's also got this gorgeous paste vibe to it. Petra did send me this along with some other stunning colors. I will link Petra Jongbloed down below if you fancy getting some on Etsy. But stunning, absolutely stunning. It is about as steampunk of a color as you're gonna get. Really beautiful to use. Now, I was umming and ahhing as to whether to carry this video on or just end it there. You know, like, oh, look, we've made an inlay. Let's look forward to using it in future videos. I decided to use it this way around. Now, this was not my intention with the inlay. This inlay for me is going to be used predominantly the other way around. I'm going to lay it down into resin as opposed to laying it down into a mold and pouring resin over it. But I thought, do you know what? We're here. I might as well end the video by creating something with the inlay that we have since made with the putty and the silicone rubber, right? So I've used Petra's colour on the inlay and I've laid it down into this absolutely stunning druzy edged mould from Moulds and Shapes. Of course, you guys, if you've been with me a while, you'll know that I am a Moulds and Shapes ambassador as well, and the links to them are down below. I've also used that colour from Petra Jongbloed very sparingly, and I've lightly brushed all around that druzy edge, and I mean lightly, sparingly, sporadically. It's not completely coated. I just wanted to kiss the surface of the druzy with that gold, because I'm now coating it in the black polyurethane. This is 30 minutes later. Look at that gold, because I just kissed the surface, as at least that's what I thought. I didn't want to use too much. So I just kissed the surface of that druzy edge, and oh my goodness me, that gold has gone so much further than I could have ever possibly imagined it going. But look at this. Now, again, this is not the right way round. I don't want it embossed, right? If I wanted it embossed, I would have just, probably used the silicone rubber. I wonder if the silicone rubber would have worked. Don't know. But I thought we'd just show you. We'd show you what that looks like the other way around. Now, please stay tuned. I do have a video coming up where I'm using this inlay the right way round. At this moment, of course, it's got this ugly, deep lip around the edge of it. It's not really what I wanted. But again, I wanted to show you the inlay working in resin. I did use polyurethane, but again, it would have been the same had I used epoxy. The inlay was clinging to the silicone mold, so I didn't have to worry too much about lifting or resin getting underneath it. It worked a dream. The embossings are just absolutely beautiful. Honestly, I want to do this again and just create a silicone putty embossing surface. Just an embossing surface, without even thinking about an inlay. Now, I did have leftover resin from another project, so I did pour that in here. Not enough to cover that ugly lip, but I am going to pour some more in because I don't think I'll ever be satisfied until I do that. For me, this is giving steampunk, but also giving Romanesque. Like, it's giving Zeus. Anyone else feeling Roman vibes from this? I don't know if it's the gold or what it is, but yeah, I've really enjoyed this one. I've enjoyed, even though the outcome, the project at the end was really not part of it. I just wanted to play around and have fun with it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I hope you feel inspired in some way or another, whether that's to use a silicone putty and create an inlay with silicone rubber or whatever it is. I hope you feel inspired to do something with something from this video. And I will see you all next time. Bye.